Welcome back, everyone. We're Simply Bitcoin. This is the weekend edition. We break down the news, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the pleb sites. Joining us today, we've got the CEO and co-founder of Lolly.com. I'm talking about Alex Edelman. Alex, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yep. Great way to kick off the weekend. All right. We are diving into the numbers. Let's do it, Nico.
Number time! Brought to you by Nodl. They make some of the best Bitcoin nodes, like the Nodl One, the one I'm holding in my hand. Run Whirlpool, Bitcoin Core, and the Lightning Network, all in the comfort of your own home. Remember, guys, if you don't run your own Bitcoin node, you're using someone else's. So get yourself a Bitcoin node today, like the Nodl.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 741,189. The Bitcoin price, 20,420. 420. Anyways, chain rewrite days 746. Total public lightning capacity 3,991.16. Moscow time 4897. Blocks to the halvening 98,811. And the Samurai Whirlpool unspent capacity. Samurai Whirlpool is a coin join or collaborative spend. It is not a mixing service. And the unspent capacity for that pool is 4,675.33 BTC. Still a stable coin, Nico, even at this level. I'm still going to call it. I'm still going to say it's a stable coin. I know people are going to hate me for it, but it doesn't matter. These were the uneventful numbers, my friend.
It was a stable coin for quite a while when Bitcoin was at 30K. Anyways, some signal today. Listen, I think central bankers are admitting defeat, or at least they're not admitting defeat, but at least they are seeing the inevitable. Let me make my case. Okay, let me make my case. Anyways, let's pull this up by... This is an article by Watcher.guru. It says Fabio Panetta, a member of the European Central Bank's executive board, says that the supply of digital euro will be limited to a maximum of 1.5 trillion. Why would they cap something? What does that sound familiar of? It looks like to me they're trying to incentivize people. Hey, look at Bitcoin's 21 million. Us central bankers could do the same. We know that's not true. As soon as there's a little bit of political pressure, they will increase that supply. But it sure hell is a good marketing tool. We also had this come out today. This was a video clip by Disclose.tv. They do a great job, by the way. And this is Jerome Powell. Let's see what he had to say. The tweet says, Powell, rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar. A U.S. central bank digital currency is being examined to help the U.S. dollar's international standing.
Looking forward, rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar in the future. Most major economies already have or are in the process of developing instant 24/7 payments. Our own FedNow service will be coming online in 2023. And in light of the tremendous growth in crypto assets and stablecoins, we are examining whether a U.S. central bank digital currency would improve upon what is an already safe and efficient domestic payment system. As our white paper on this topic notes, a U.S. CBDC could also potentially help maintain the dollar's international standing.
These people have never had competition, and you can tell they've never had competition. But listen, if you connect that with what Powell is saying, and you connect that with what the head or a member of the ECB is saying, right? This innovation that they're, the central bank digital currencies to try to remain, the hopes that they try to remain relevant, this would have never have happened if it wasn't for Bitcoin. So clearly, they're feeling pressure here. I don't think they're going to win, but that doesn't mean they're not going to try. And of course, because they're central banks, they're going to have the help of government coercion. Anyways, Alex, from your perspective, are you seeing what I'm seeing, or am I just a crazy pleb on the internet?
Both are true, but I think that most important thing here is I think. For the first time ever, fiat has, for the first time in a long time, fiat money has a competitor, a formidable competitor in Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies that are challenging it right now. So I think one of the most interesting things right now is that everyone is seeing that, like in this time of chaos, Bitcoin provides this source of truth that there are only 21 million, there will only ever be 21 million. And in a world of uncertainty and chaos, I think it's something that people are going to be looking towards, especially the more that the Fed prints trillions and trillions of dollars to try to correct, the things that are happening on more of the macro economic lens. I think it's going to get even more wild, and I think more and more people are going to have to learn about Bitcoin and retreat to Bitcoin as a stable source of currency.
Absolutely. It would have been impossible to imagine these people. I feel fear. Like that's what I sense here with the wording. With Powell kind of like, with our central bank digital currency, because crypto payments have been so popular, to quote him, right? That's how we're going to remain relevant. But look, it's something that Bitcoin will always be able to do, and they cannot, right? Is that Bitcoin won't censor, and that Bitcoin's capped at 21 million. And that's something that government currencies will never be able to offer. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts on that reaction, that video by Powell and the ECB saying there's going to be a $1.5 trillion cap? Do you believe them?
No. And watching him shake while he's reading that was like, it's like holding that paper. You could tell even he's not sure about this. But look, just to go back to the original point about the hard cap, right? Hard cap fiat is like stopping a leak with a strainer. I mean, really? This is just shenanigans. It's illusions. It's still centrally controlled and issued. We haven't removed the human factor. I mean, look, it's nothing else than a gimmick. Plain and simple. It is just a gimmick. And essentially what's really funny is because I'm pretty sure that we've had people in the past explain how you can't have a hard cap currency. You need to continue to print more money. So all of a sudden, because remember, their goalposts just keep moving. So now all of a sudden they're trying to think like, you know what? Maybe this is how we get people to come back in and buy into our system. Guess what? This is the beauty of Bitcoin. No central entity, no central point of failure. We don't need to trust your hard cap. We just don't need to trust it. That's the beauty of it. They still don't get it. They're securing their moat. They're more scared now than ever. And to me, this is just entertaining and funny at this point.
Dude, it's absolutely hilarious to watch this meltdown. But like an animal trapped into a corner, that's when they're the most vicious. So I suspect the social attacks and perhaps regulatory attacks, even though that Lummis bill makes me optimistic, are definitely going to increase as time progresses. In Europe, it's a little bit more hardcore than it is in the US. So anyways, you protect yourself from this by taking your Bitcoin into self-custody, which we advocate for every single day on this channel. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make some of the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. Comes in any custom color your heart desires. You want to Peter Schiff colors? You can do that. What about Simply Bitcoin colors? You can do that as well. The European store is now open, and the open source node model 3D printed thing is also on the CryptoCloaks website. You can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 5% off CryptoCloaks.com. Do you guys remember this? Of course you guys remember this because we've been covering it. A lot of it's made huge splashes on Bitcoin Twitter. This is the New York Senate, New York State passed the bill cracking down on Bitcoin mining. Now, our perspective about this is a little bit more malicious. The reason that we believe that, first of all, because we've been covering it for over a year now. And in Norway, some parties over there, some political parties over there also tried to ban Bitcoin mining. But interestingly, in Norway, 100% of Bitcoin mining is powered by renewable energies. So, it begs the question, are these people really concerned about the renewable energy that Bitcoin uses, or are they saying this is an unjustified use of energy, therefore we have to ban it? Now, I would say this groundbreaking report was just released by Michael Kazaka. Name of the report is called Bitcoin Crypto Payments Energy Efficiency. And he does a whole report, and he says, based on physics, information, science, and economics, we compute and compare the energy consumption and define what is the energy efficiency of both the current monetary payment system and Bitcoin crypto payment system. We demonstrate that Bitcoin consumes 56 times less energy than the classical system, and that even at the single transaction level, a proof of work transaction proves to be 1 to 5 times more energy efficient. Here is a Cointelegraph article, and it covers more, gets more into the intricacies. The report compiles almost 4 years of research and suggests a new calculation for estimating Bitcoin's proof of work energy consumption. In an interview, Kazaka told Cointelegraph, Bitcoin Lightning and Bitcoin in general are really great and very efficient technological solutions that deserve to be adopted on a large scale. This invention is brilliant enough, efficient enough, and powerful enough to get mass adoption. A payment specialist who wrote his dissertations about cryptography in 2003 and discovered Bitcoin in 2011, Kazaka also puts the banking sector under the microscope to efficiently compare the two monetary systems. Kazaka told Cointelegraph he really underestimates every aspect of the banking sector, and contrary to critics, his report is biased to the banking system. Nonetheless, taking into account the creation of money, transportation money, physical banking infrastructure, energy consumption, he arrives at a figure of 4,981 terawatt hours, rounded up to 5,000 terawatt hours, is consumed by the classical payment sector every year. Consequently, banking uses 56 times more energy than Bitcoin. And he goes on to talk about Lightning. Lightning will allow the Bitcoin protocol to be more transactions without consuming more energy. The report concludes that the combination of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network allows Bitcoin to become 194 million times more energy efficient than a classical payment system. So, I actually tweeted this out about a month ago when the initial New York mining ban happened, and I was actually attacked on Twitter by someone sent me a DM saying that Bitcoin needs to be moved out of the country, Bitcoin mining. Just crazy stuff. And I was, hey, listen, if you're going to ban Bitcoin mining, or if you're going to hold Bitcoin mining to a certain environmental standard, you should be holding the banking sector to a certain environmental standard. But as Nick Carter perfectly pointed out in his reports, right? This is a question of, do you see Bitcoin as a justified reason to consume energy or not? If you see it, if you don't see it as such, it's not. They're not going to see it as such, right? Why don't we hold the banking system to the same environmental standard? Why don't we hold hair dryers to the same environmental standard, right? So look. I doubt this will be used because it doesn't fit their narrative, but it's really interesting, and it's definitely a good question, right? And if you're in the United States, you have financial privilege, what Alex Gladstein always says, right? But if you're in a country like Venezuela, like Afghanistan, like Cuba, and there's no other option, there's not another alternative monetary system that you could use, well, right? Bitcoin really works for you, right? And stable coins, right? They really work for you well. Right? But if you're in the US, right, and you have financial privilege, you might be looking at Bitcoin. It's like, that's just a very inefficient use of energy, right? And then, of course, there's what we believe, but of course, we're a little bit biased because we're plebs, right? The malicious attacks, right? That they don't really care about the environment. They're more so concerned about control. Anyways, Alex, what are your thoughts on this? I'm sure you're opinionated about this because you do run a Bitcoin company, of course.
I do. I've been very outspoken. I live in New York and incredibly frustrated. I was incredibly frustrated with BitLicense and have been frustrated that it's stayed as long as it has and with no changes. It's really crippled the financial hub of the world. Being New York, we had this opportunity to continue the financial innovation and financial dominance that New York has been known for, and due to the regulators' incompetence, we have continued to move people out of in my opinion, what I think one of the greatest cities the world's ever seen. And so where we kind of go, and from here, It's like I thought we were, Adams was coming in, and he was talking about banning the bit license and doing all some getting to a place where we were able to be a more crypto friendly place. And then this comes out, and I was extremely upset by this. It's just, you read it and you read who's behind it, and it's just gross incompetence. And not only is it is it hurting the people of New York, but it's like it made no sense. It had no understanding of stuff you could just literally Google that's happening. It's not accounting for flag theory that is playing out before our very eyes, of people going to Miami, going to Austin, like fleeing, starting companies in Texas. It's like we want all the smart entrepreneurs that are trying to build something real in New York, and we're just saying, hey, we don't want you here. Go somewhere else to go build this technology that's connecting the entire world through money and commerce. Like that to me is the most important thing to be built in financial technology. We all understand what it is. We have some of the smartest people in the city, and we're saying, hey, go build somewhere else. So really, really unfortunate. Doesn't grasp the beauty and power of Bitcoin and mining in particular. So one of the biggest things is it says, oh, we're trying to regulate and say the only ways which you should start Bitcoin mining companies in New York is if you are filing that the only sources of energy are renewables that are coming in, but it doesn't account for the fact that how much wasted energy and is happening on grid that we could be turning into money to help save the economy in New York, which was crippled after COVID. So it doesn't account for that, which it would be an incredible force for the average person, for companies to be able to make money and turn wasted energy into something beneficial. So yeah, a lot of bad, a lot of incompetence, and it's very frustrating from being a founder who's trying to build something very real in New York.
I agree with you. I think I lived in New York for a little bit. I think New York is the best city in the world, right? Manhattan is such a unique experience, such a vibe, and yeah, it's a shame that certain politicians, not only in New York but around the world, are attacking this innovation that is going to provide financial inclusion to 50% of the planet, right? It's unfortunate to say the least. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts before we move on to Lolly?
I think it's incredibly hypocritical and maybe you know what, Alex, you being in New York, possibly correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that New York has access to a lot of hydroelectricity. I know that up in Canada, specifically Quebec, well, let's just leave it at Canada, has, I think, the most natural water resources in the world. And if I'm not mistaken, New York is bordering along there and also has access to the similar water resources. So the fact that hydroelectricity just seems to get completely ignored is, I find, strange and just kind of cringy. I mean, you'd think that such a powerful business hub would be all in on figuring out how to get this to go, how to get this to grow, and how to essentially be part of the next revolution. And I'm confused. I truly am confused with what's going on in New York, especially as a kid growing up. Like, what people don't realize is that a lot of cities will market themselves, right, as financial hubs, as innovation hubs and stuff like that. And being originally from Montreal, you'd always hear about New York City, right? Like, if you want to go somewhere, you want to be somebody, right? You're going to go to New York, right? It's the city that never sleeps. There's all this opportunity. And then we enter Bitcoin, and it just seems like it's a whole bunch of moats and walls, and like, no, we're keeping that out of here. And it just seems like this has really nothing to do with business, and this has to do with political incentives. But again, I digress. I'm not a politician. It just doesn't seem like this isn't really a business idea, and this is much more a social control idea.
Totally agree. And you're totally right. I knew that New York was had a lot of hydropower. I didn't realize how much. It's even more than I thought. This stat is pretty fun. It's the highest producer of hydropower east of the Rocky Mountains. Pretty wild. It's typically 17% of the total electricity is from hydropower. So that's pretty incredible. And we know a lot of that is just wasted because there's nowhere for it or a lot of it to go. And also keep in mind that the taxpayers paid for that to be built, which cost billions and billions and billions of dollars to create that hydropower. And now the taxpayers can't put that into arguably one of the best businesses of all time, which is being a Bitcoin mining company in a place that we paid for. So really unfortunate, really just gross incompetence, and we're just turning away smart people.
I completely agree. It's unfortunate, but it's what you said, the better flag theory is playing out before our eyes, and unfortunately cities and countries that don't adopt Bitcoin, or what we say, the plebs say, are going to have fun staying poor. Hopefully New York wakes up to that. Anyways, let's talk about Alex's company, Lolly. You guys know the deal. Any company or any Bitcoin service that we bring on the show, we've personally used ourselves. I've used Lolly sometimes to do a little bit of online shopping, give some sats back, which is always a good thing. So, Alex, why don't you explain what Lolly is?
Yeah, so we've created the leading Bitcoin rewards company. We give people free Bitcoin when they shop online at over 1,000 different merchants. We're trying to make it incredibly easy to get into Bitcoin and trying to change it up a little bit. I think when I got into Bitcoin, the only real ways to do it was through mining and investing. And most of the world doesn't invest. We can sit here all day and say, go buy Bitcoin, go learn about it. But at the end of the day, you're taking hard-earned money and putting it into Bitcoin. And it is a big leap. And we're 13 years into Bitcoin, and it's still bizarre to me that every person doesn't have it, because it's like of what we know about it. So it was a hard task, I think, to teach my friends, my family about Bitcoin. The thing that I was building previously was a company called Cosmic. We built one of the leading shopping and payments technologies in the world. We were the creators of the dynamic buy button. So what we were sitting there, we were learning the reward space, and I was like, wow, this would be an incredible way of giving people Bitcoin through a proven business model that actually attaches Bitcoin to everyday life, which was Satoshi's original vision of making it P2P payments. And so I was like, well, let's slightly reframe it. Like, rewards are part of payments. Every time you pay, you get something back. And we know that people don't want to pay with Bitcoin because the volatility, and a lot of people don't have it, doesn't have ubiquity yet. And so how do we attach Bitcoin to every payment? We make it on the rewards layer. So far, we've brought over 550,000 people into Bitcoin through rewards. We are US only. We are expanding internationally over the next year. But we are working really hard to bring on as many individuals as possible and as many merchants as possible into the Bitcoin space. The obvious thing is we're bringing consumers to rewards. The non-obvious thing is we're bringing an incredible amount of top merchants on board into Bitcoin. To kind of give you a sense of scale and just trends, we have 1,100 merchants on our platform today. Of those merchants, and you can see it, it's the Nikes, Adidas of the world, Sam's Club, you name the brand, we probably have worked with them. Of those merchants, less than 10 of them, not 10%, 10 of them accept Bitcoin. So the rate of adoption of rewards is been incredible. And now we're bridging these conversations of, okay, they're coming to me and say, when Bitcoin payments, when are we, what are we talking about with Bitcoin remittance and Bitcoin treasury and all of these conversations that we're now bridging that gap into. So I think it's what we're building has an incredibly important mission for the entire Bitcoin space, bringing more people into Bitcoin, educating the world on why Bitcoin is so important, and attaching it to everyday life.
Awesome. Yeah. So very, very cool. I love what you guys do, but just to, the plebs are going to beat me up if I don't ask you a little bit of a, so what's the catch? The catch is, so you go and you download the thing. Let's talk a little bit about incentives. What's in it for you? Obviously no one works for free. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I think a lot of people assume that we're doing something like weird. It's like, how am I getting all this free money? But we're taking existing business model with a cashback business model. So it's the way that the cashback business model works is we partner with merchants. those merchants are willing to pay for customers to come to their sites. They would normally be paying Facebook and Google, the behemoth, tech companies, to go bring you into the site. And what they're simply saying is, hey, if Lolly has users that want to earn Bitcoin, let's just go pay Lolly instead of go pay Facebook or Google. And unlike Facebook or Google that are like selling your data, we're not selling your data. We're just saying all you have to do is use Lolly, come in through Lolly and shop there, and we are the loyalty layer. So instead of paying the people's margins of 40 to 50% to the Googles and the Facebooks, they'll pay us 10 to 15%. We share that the lion's share of it with our users, sending Bitcoin to your Lolly wallet. So everybody wins. The merchants get to skirt Facebook and Google by working directly with us. They get to save money on acquiring customers. Our users get to be loyal and to our merchants. So a lot of times, it means not shopping at Amazon and shopping at a different merchant, one of our 1,100 merchants, in order to have that like long-term savings with Bitcoin. And so, yeah, when you shop at the merchants you know and love, you earn Bitcoin back. You're not selling your data is the other thing. We will never sell your data. We don't make money off of selling data. We simply make money when people shop these different sites and apps and stores.
And it's completely free to the user when they sign up. They don't have to put in their credit card or nothing. They're just receiving sats if one of your stores are included in the checkout, and then you have that awesome little, the Chrome plugin. It lights up, turns from purple to green, right? And one last question before I pass it on to Phil. Do you need to do KYC to withdraw the sats?
Yeah, so we because we're rewards, we are not a money transmitter. We found a nice loophole in the legal system where if you're buying and selling crypto, you are whoever has to be a money transmitter. Lolly is not a money transmitter. We are a rewards company that happens to give you Bitcoin. There is some KYC required to be a rewards company and to move or to be a Bitcoin company, but it's the absolute minimum that we are legally required to take. So name and email is what you do, and come in and say who you are and tell us who you are, and that's how you get your Bitcoin.
Awesome, very cool. Phil, you want to tie it up?
Yeah, I think what the theme is, because I do remember interviewing you a few years ago for Fun with Bitcoin, and the theme, which is still true and absolutely beautiful, is this: it is the reduction of friction. Okay, what you were doing, okay, which I think is really great, and this is kind of one of those things in Bitcoin that does get controversial, right? Because we have all different factions of Bitcoiners, right? We've got the privacy advocates, we've got other people that just don't care so much about privacy and it's all about KYC. We've got other people that think that if you're buying your Bitcoin through Cash App, then what you're doing is universally horrendous. So what I like about the rewards method is this. It doesn't require a person necessarily to get a wallet immediately. It allows them to take this middle ground step into Bitcoin with a familiar type of platform that they already understand. People are very familiar with rewards. People are very familiar with gift cards. This bridges a gap. And I think I actually, I'd be very curious. I don't know if you can share these numbers, and it's okay if you can't, but what is your average demographic of user? Are you even able to gather that data? Have you even tried to gather that data? Because I'd be very curious to see. I feel like you'd be maybe in the 30 to 55 range, because there's I think that those people are much more averse to the gift cards and maybe a little bit more skittish to go and get a hardware wallet and whatnot. But anyways, let me know. What are your thoughts on that?
So a lot of our users are brand new to Bitcoin, and that was one of the things we saw very early on. We definitely have a lot of hardcore Bitcoiners that love Lolly. I mean, one, minimal KYC. Two, dedication to privacy and security. My team and I, we built a payments company before. If you think Bitcoin privacy and security is tough, try being a PCI level 1 compliant company, and the amount of regulation you have to go through to ensure security and privacy of your users' data and payments. So we've taken those principles and protocols and applied them to Lolly. our real customer is like 18 to 34, actually. So much younger demographic. So when at Rakuten, so Rakuten bought my last company. Rakuten's the biggest cashback company in the US, many parts of the world. When I was there, I think they had over 12 million customers. And then Honey has 20 million customers. So, whether you like, Bitcoin rewards or not, or whatever your deal is, the fact is it's an incredible way to onboard people. People are going to do cashback anyway, whether you like it or not. And if you can give them a better money and teach them about better money and teach them about Bitcoin, we don't care what you think. It's like I'm giving people better money and I'm educating them on Bitcoin, and that's incredibly important. We're taking something that people do already and we're making it way easier. You can sign up in less than a minute and start earning Bitcoin. There's not another platform out there that gives you that sort of ease, that you can send it to your mom, your dad, your friends, your family, and just say, hey, I know you're not going to go buy Bitcoin. Go try earning it for a few months and see what happens. Getting off zero, I remember, used to be a huge piece of the narrative that I think is, kind of lost now, because everyone, all these hardcore Bitcoiners are like, oh, everyone has it. It's like, no, we talk to brand new users every single day. Like, no one has it. We're still in day one, and we need to distribute it to more people and teach people about Bitcoin. And the Bitcoiners are already going to have more Bitcoin. They're already going to keep accumulating. Like, we need to get to the masses, and we need to really penetrate the as many of the masses as possible and make it a part of their life. Like, the biggest thing, and the price gets talked about a lot of, like, the joke that, forever of like 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin, is when you're talking to someone who has never touched Bitcoin before, they're hyper fixated on the price. When we first launched, Bitcoin was at 4K, 5K in that range. We launch and it continues to go up and it skyrockets. Those were our biggest growth ever. And our users still to this day that, joined us in the early days, even though the Bitcoin's at 20K, they're still at 4X, 5X what they were earning. And Bitcoin, because price gave them the best rewards platform that they had ever seen. Because when you earn $5 in cash back from Rakuten, you get your coupons or whatever, like 1-to-1, your $5 is now what, $4.50 with inflation over those last 2 years, whereas your Bitcoin is now 4 or 5X what it was. So you earn 10% or like $10 back on your purchase. You now have $40 to $50 back. You got half off your purchase because you chose Bitcoin. So we are basically like forcing the orange pill down people's throat in like the nicest way possible, and just saying, look, this is better money, and we're going to show you. And all you have to do is shop as you normally would.
Yeah,
literally the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, exactly. I like that.
The incentive is very strong, and the thing about that is that, one day that purchase that you made, it might be 100% cash back, right? So that's the power of a deflationary currency like Bitcoin. It's the best savings technology the world has ever seen. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine, stories, articles, comics by actual Bitcoiners. Toxic plebs. It's great. This is the artwork for Volume 10. This is the artwork for Volume 2. And this is the artwork for Volume 11. They're scarce. There's only 1,000 physical copies made per volume, so get your print of Citadel 21 today. All right, everybody. First meme is by fellow pleb, Ahmed Teleka Auto. Oh my God. All right. I swear this has never happened before, Laura. All right, moving on. Mylena Sheesh. We don't pick the memes. The plebs join our Telegram group. They link us in there and we include it. Anyways, by the legendary Lena Sheesh. She makes the memes herself. So she is a legend. Anyways. No coiner, please go down. New coiner, please go up. Bitcoiner, please stay low until I get my next paycheck. All right, by Alan B. Watts, another fellow pleb. Yield farmers, it ain't honest or much. For anyone that doesn't understand our European users, there's the farmer line, right? It's on it. It ain't much, but it's honest work, right? It's a little play on words. Another pleb, Otero. BlockFi will undergo a liquidity crisis by the end of 2022. I don't know about that. BlockFi has already lost substantial amounts of money in 2022. And here's a meme. Luna, UST, Celsius, 3 arrows, Capital, BlockFi. Hey, look, the bear market, this happens every time. This is why we advocate so strongly on the show. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin. Anyways, next meme by Rothmus. I'm sure things will go back to normal by July. Wall Street Silver summary of our situation: 75 basis points inflation. These are great memes. Jack, dude, Jack's behind Web 5. He's been absolutely killing it. And it's Web 3. And this is a famous meme, the Niet, like saying like it's like a Russian Soviet Union propaganda, right? Anyways, really good stuff. Last but not least, by Coinbits, Be Patient and DCA smash by every single price dip. At least I thought about it. Very good. Awesome memes by the fellow plebs. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Anyways, Phil, for those awesome memes, I'm going to give it an empty bag of plantain chips. What about you, brother?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big fan of the plantain chips.
Very crunchy. Very crunchy.
Plantain, it's like a banana, but it's not.
It's better. It's better.
It's a plantain. But you never hear anybody cheering about the plantains, right?
It's because they don't live in Miami, bro.
Okay.
We're all plantains here.
We're all plantains. Okay, so look. So for this, I am giving it this awesome cipher wheel box. But there's more than just a cipher wheel in here. And I'm not going to tell you what's in there.
Is it in
Who
mint?
knows? Unfortunately, you're calling me on my shit. Unfortunately, it's not in mint. Everything that's in there is not mint.
Alex, what would you give those memes?
I am going to give it a gently used Tabasco. Yeah.
Okay.
Very spicy memes today.
Very spicy.
I like 'em.
Very spicy. Anyways, guys, we want to know if you agree with our scores, you disagree. Let us know down in the comment section. Join our awesome Telegram group. It's a party in there. And make sure to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms like rumble.com and our personal favorite, bitcointv.com. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily Fail. Brought to you by Swan. Check them out, swanbitcoin.com. That's right. It is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with an automated savings plan. They're serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. They've got an app coming out. It is a Bitcoin stacking site and soon app by fellow plebs. Check out the link down below. You know how I like to bring in different versions of fail stories. So this is just a light kind of, something for us to think about, right? Documenting Bitcoin. Shout out to this account. Great account. After Satoshi Nakamoto posted this 12 years ago today, 35,700 tons of gold have been found. $13 trillion have been printed. And yet, there is still only 21 million Bitcoin. Very true. Very true. And this kind of goes back to Nico's number segment, right? About the hard cap of the new digital euro. It doesn't matter. They can tell you all they want that there's a hard cap. Look, the dollar was pegged to gold until it wasn't. Why? Because humans. This is why we need to be removed from this. We clearly suck. Anyways, before I dive into the actual story of the fail, Alex, do you have any comments on this right now?
It's just facts. There's not. It's plain and simple. Love documenting Bitcoin. Always good to see the memes. I have nothing to say other than it speaks for itself. I kind of mentioned it before, but like we have this time of economic crisis, of chaos. We have no idea how much more our central banking system is going to print. We have no control of it. There's no democracy in what we print, and yet we're incredibly reliant and are getting hurt by it. So, I think if you're looking at Bitcoin, we every 10 minutes the exact same thing has happened for the last 13 years, and so it's only safe to say that over the next 13 years, the same will be true. And it gives me comfort, and I think it gives a lot of people comfort. Knowing that the rules are the same for everybody, for 4.5 billion people with an internet connection and 8 billion people all around the world. everybody has the same exact rules and knows exactly how much Bitcoin is in existence and will be in existence. And I think people are looking for truth.
Absolutely.
Totally agreed.
Absolutely. All right, Phil, what is the fail? What is the big story? What is the big story, bro?
All right, let's take a look at this. This was actually, I think, dropped in the Telegram by Optimist. So that's right, Optimist. I'm just going to randomly blame you for this one. Okay, this one's your fault. Here we go. Very interesting and kind of weird. JayZ's Bitcoin school met with skepticism in his former housing project. I don't have money to be losing. Now, we're going to read through this, and then I'm going to give the framing that I think is really important, what the signal is, okay? Not going to go through the whole article. We're just obviously going to choose out some specific pieces. So here we go, okay? They interviewed some people from the Marcy project where JayZ originally grew up, and let's dive into this article. It's kind of late to be doing that when people are trying to hold on to their dollars and everything is so expensive. People don't want to be investing money knowing that they might have a chance of losing it. That's right, because essentially what's happening is that...
it's JayZ, not free? It's not free?
No, it's not free. It's wait. We're going to talk about free in a second. But essentially, right, he's doing a Bitcoin course, okay, that he partnered up with Jack Dorsey. We're talking about JayZ, the rapper, partnered up with Jack Dorsey to make a Bitcoin course. And there's two quote unquote Bitcoin educators that are involved in it. One of them being Lamar Wilson, Big Mar. But anyways, this has nothing to do with him specifically. This has to do with the framing. Okay, and we are going to dive into this a little further. So they interviewed people from the project, from the projects where he grew up, and wanted to get their take on quote unquote Bitcoin education. So here we go. Every dime I get, got to go to rent, phone, TV, and internet. I don't have money like that to be losing. If I did, I would try to invest in something that's more reliable, like the basketball game last night. You know, I'm going to win something from that. So just think about the way that these people are viewing Bitcoin. So here we go. The 12-week Bitcoin Academy course will be taught by Lamar Wilson, who runs the website Black Bitcoin Billionaire, and Nadja J. Roberts, founder and CEO of a brick-and-mortar crypto school in California called Crypto Blockchain Plug. The simple goal is to provide people tools to build independence for themselves and then the communities around them. The Academy also plans to grant students a small amount of Bitcoin, worth around $20 to $25, after they learn to set up their own digital wallets. The spokesperson said an open house event at Marcy over the weekend drew a large and eager crowd of mostly seniors and young people. But younger Marcy house tenants who spoke to The Guardian were unenthused. Nyasha Figueroa, a 24-year-old resident who plans to work as a caretaker for mentally challenged people, said the Bitcoin Academy seems unhelpful to residents. Half the people that's going to go to that class probably just going to go to the class for the $25 that you get. The other half of the people, they'll probably take what they learn and forget it down the line. Figueroa said that Bitcoin class signified how out of touch the rapper was with his former home. If you want to do something, fix this place up, she said. We have a basketball court with no hoops. Our park is broken up in here. He should be doing more for his community, not no Bitcoin Academy. The only thing I could say he really did for us was the Christmas stuff. Every Christmas, he would come around and he would give out free toys to the kids, or like pocketbooks, perfumes, and little MP3 players. That was good. The Bitcoin ain't. One Marcy resident, Luis Rivas, did express enthusiasm for the class, saying, I would like to learn how they became a millionaire and learn what to trade and what not to trade. Rivas, who is unemployed, said he had been acquainted with JayZ when they were both teenagers. Now he's a billionaire and I'm still living in the effing ghetto. Since it was announced last week, the Bitcoin Academy has faced criticism from tech commentators who have accused the project of preying on financially vulnerable people. Some have compared the marketing of crypto to how predatory lenders targeted people of color with subprime loans in the run-up to the 2008 housing crisis. A 2021 research paper commissioned by the New York City-based cryptocurrency exchange Gemini argued that cryptocurrency could benefit unbanked populations in Mexico, India, and Indonesia. Citing centuries-old informal Latin American financial institutions, the paper argued that cryptocurrency companies can build upon and digitize practices that assist in the creation of wealth for poor communities and allow them to thrive in locations deemed unprofitable by traditional banking standards. Gerald, a Brooklyn resident with friends and family living at Marcy, runs a small charity that gives people Bitcoin. But even he said that financial literacy wouldn't solve Marcy's biggest issue, which is a lack of capital, a lack of resources, and a lack of funding for our communities. Teaching someone about Bitcoin that doesn't even have $100 in their savings account is not helpful. On the surface, it looks like folks want to help, but once you start peeling back the layers, you realize nobody really cares. Okay, so look, there is a lot to unpack here, okay? So I'm gonna start off before I kick it over to Alex, because this is not cut and dry. This is not black and white. Okay. The fact that we're seeing a disparity here. Number one, we're seeing what I believe this article illustrates the most is the lack of financial education. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that these people are correct, that many of these areas do not have the resources, do not have the proper communities in order to try to build security and to try to, let's say, quote unquote, bring back vibrancy and wealth to those communities. It's very difficult once something falls into quote unquote poverty. Okay, so I do believe that the education is missing, but something that really scares me, okay, and this has nothing to do in any way, shape, or form with color. My wife is a social worker, okay? I myself, when I was back in Montreal, I used to do PC repair for people that were on welfare and that were getting social assistance. This has nothing to do with it. The point is that handouts do not help. And I understand their point about wanting certain things. But at the end of the day, an MP3 player is not going to help somebody get back on their feet and figure out how they can produce a better life for themselves and their family. And although financial literacy will not help on the moment, Bitcoin is a long, low time preference tool. And I'd like to believe that JayZ and Jack Dorsey are attempting to introduce some low time preference thought into these communities to help raise themselves. Now, the other piece that I want to...
So you're criticizing how the legacy media framed that article.
Yes.
Okay, because I was a bit confused. I was like, okay, are you attacking JayZ and Jack Dorsey?
No.
Or are you criticizing the thing? Because I agree with you. I think that it's a noble goal. I think that a lot of the poverty comes from the fact that the money is broken, right? So, look, I was sleeping on a couch 6 years ago. Okay, so like Bitcoin completely changed my life, right? So I really believe, like, even if you're, very poor, I think that if you start earning in Bitcoin, right, I think it's going to help you. I think the benefits of deflationary currency are undeniable, not only from a financial standpoint, but also from a psychological standpoint as well, right? I think that Bitcoin makes you hopeful about the future, whereas in a fiat currency, man, inflation is terrible, right? You're constantly like working harder and harder for less money. Now, that's my take.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And the one piece that I just wanted to add before we pass it over to Alex is this. I think that unfortunately it needs to be very clear that there is a very big difference between Bitcoin and shitcoins. Okay. And without going into, attacking people personally for the things that they shill, okay, or don't shill, I think that what's very important, because I saw that comment about, hey, like the way that that certain people were taken advantage of in the mortgage crisis. This is why people need to understand the true difference between Bitcoin and shitcoins. Because if these people really do, if all people really want to empower themselves, they really do need to be looking at Bitcoin only. Everything else in the space is an affinity scam, has a head to chop off, is not Bitcoin, was created with the intention of profit. They are all trying to imitate Bitcoin. Anyways, Alex, any thoughts on this, my friend?
Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I think that one of the biggest problems with the world right now is the lack of financial education. I felt like I even had a particularly good education, studied economics in college, and I left college and when I started to learn about Bitcoin, I was like, oh my God, what was I doing? What did I learn? The amount of like brainwashing that we have in the US and probably many parts of the world about money, it's just not real. You don't learn about what's actually happening. And so I feel like, people that are growing up in Marcy project, the frustration is that, in seeing those remarks, albeit anecdotal and probably like, picked out and a little bit out of context to paint Bitcoin in a negative light and a little bit of FUD there. I would say that like, the rebuttal there is like, look, you don't have to be a part of this. Like, there's outreach to try to educate, this group of people on Bitcoin. And like, I think that the principles that Bitcoin instills are net positive, whether you agree with them or not. I think it's incredibly important to learn about how money works and then make your own decisions. And when you talk about like, shitcoins, I don't think people are able to, without learning about Bitcoin first and the principles that Bitcoin instills. I always like, why we're a Bitcoin first company is a Bitcoin only is I think it's incredibly important that people's on-ramp be Bitcoin. We can't control, the free market and people are going to want to earn and do whatever they want to do. And, there will most likely be a time where we're going to have to expand into other currencies. And that will be just, the necessary part of it based on the demand. The piece that I will always, hold true and that I strongly believe in is that you need to educate people about the importance of Bitcoin. And the end of the day, everything will flow into Bitcoin. Bitcoin will suck up every currency in the world because it is that powerful. And the sooner that you realize why it's going to take over, the better. And if you're started learning of like these like false principles on other currencies or trying to make a quick dollar, those are the things to be scared of. Those are the things that are like chasing a dollar, like the next NFT scam, the next pump of some shitcoin to get rich or Ponzi scheme or whatever. It's like, that's not what Bitcoin was built on. Bitcoin was built out of the financial crisis to solve the inequalities that are existing broken financial system brought about that was hurting those people in the Marcy project and still is hurting them today. So how do we break them free of that? The only way to do it is to see the truth and to see like the holistic picture of money and then let them decide.
Absolutely.
Beautifully said.
I agree. And real quick, Phil, I hope that this is free. I hope that, JayZ and
it's supposed to be.
If it's free, then I applaud them. I think it's a good thing. I agree with Alex. I think the world needs more financial education. And hopefully some of those people, they start earning in Bitcoin, right? And to get out of the rat race, so to speak, and to get out of poverty, because it's terrible. And look, I think that by fixing the money, I really do believe we'll fix the world. And I think a lot of the poverty in today's world is caused by broken money, right? Because that's what fiat does. It's wealth redistribution from the poor and middle class that don't have the means to save in equities and real estate, and it's wealth redistribution to the wealthy that benefit from asset inflation and the government, right? But anyways, Phil, there was a website by Plebe. Why don't you show everybody?
Plebsites, brought to you by CipherSafe. Check them out, cyphersafe.io. Paper's dead. Don't store your seed on paper. Store your seed in the Cypher wheel or the all-new Cypher grid. They both come with a tamper-resistant wire, and the grid comes with a cool blue punch tool. All right, guys, we've got a site from fellow Bitcoiners, Mr. Crown and Max Bybit or Max Bit by Bit. Definitely check them out. These guys are great content creators. They've got an awesome pleb site called ungovernablemisfits.com. Yes, it's not just selling clothes. They've got their podcast listed here. They've got articles, they've got documentaries. So it's not just clothes, it's also an education portal, and these guys put out some of the best Bitcoin signal. So definitely check them out. ungovernablemisfits.com. The link will be in the show notes. And guys, don't forget to check us out on our audio-only platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. If you want to stream us sats, check us out on fountain.fm. You could stream us sats through Breeze.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, before we go, I want to give a very special shout out to Pirate Beach Bum's new writing stuff. I think we're going to do something together. Check it out. The Bear Market Diaries is in the link description. Also want to give a shout out to our clothing sponsor, representltd.com. Phil and I wear the hoodies every single day. David is making Bitcoin merch and Simply Bitcoin merch very soon. Stay tuned. Also want to give a very, very, very special shout out to our awesome guest. You can give him a follow on Twitter, Alex Alderman. I totally butchered the pronunciation. I'm sorry, Alex. Anyways, go check out lolly.com. Earn free rewards at 1,000 top stores, 1,000 plus top stores. Earn up to 30% back in Bitcoin or cash. Anyways, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Of course, you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective and the catastrophic fails from the same perspective and the awesome memes from the plebs. Definitely consider subscribing to Simply Bitcoin. And we'll see you on Monday, guys, for a brand new episode.
Lower your time preference. Zoom out. It's time for Bitcoin.